All right, I have Anurag Dhingra today on the program. Looking forward to the conversations. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you for having me, Joe. I'm definitely looking forward to the conversation as well.
All right, excellent. So the way that I like to frame this up is that in today's tech-dependent world, we're really starting to grasp what's happening. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to say, okay, there's a lot of things that are happening. Um, how do we deliver tech with integrity and purpose to help people understand the benefits and the bewares that are out there across privacy, security, and human rights? So that's kind of our framing up what we're going to discuss, what we're getting
Got it.
involved in today. But before we even go down that path, I would love to hear a little bit more about your background, what led you to your current position at Webex and Cisco, CTO. Give us a little understanding about what led you in that direction, please.
Sounds good. So my role currently is SVP of Engineering and the Chief Technology Officer for the Collaboration Technology Group inside of Cisco. And our focus is really developing applications that help people collaborate with each other and also help improve customer experience. And so that's sort of the product portfolio. I've been in the industry for over 2 decades now. My passion, my calling has always been communications and how do we improve the technology that helps people connect with each other. Fortunately, that matches very well with Cisco's core mission. And so I've had the opportunity to make a difference here as part of Cisco. My career early on was as a hands-on software engineer. And then over time, I took on more of leadership roles. And here I am as the Chief Technology Officer now.
Just out of curiosity, what was your first languages that you enjoyed that you programmed?
Yeah, so I started with C programming languages and C++, object-oriented programming from then on, and then Java surfaced, and then that became sort of the primary programming language. These are Python is very popular and handy, so the whole gamut. But I started my career with C.
All right, I'm just curious. I know it well, and so I'm just curious. All right, wonderful. Thank you. So at the moment, where do you see the landscape in bigger picture in
Yeah.
Cisco and WebEx? Where's it all going with WebEx in virtual existence, living, working, and eventually the metaverse, whether or not you all believe in that or not? I'm kind of
Right.
curious.
Yeah. So clearly, this hybrid way of working is here to stay. We went from being all remote to now this hybrid modality where a lot of companies are encouraging employees to come into the offices at least for part of the work week. But what's clear is that even if you do that, there's always going to be someone remote. And our studies show that 98% of all meetings, all interactions are going to have at least one remote participant. So it's really important to create technology that allows that to happen in a very natural way. And so we are very much focused on really three pillars of experience that we deliver. One is about reimagining workspaces. So, when you are in an office building, is it set up to allow you to collaborate naturally with people who may or may not be there? So that's one pillar of the strategy that we have. The other one is reimagining work, especially now with AI, on the scene. How do we make everyone better from a productivity point of view, but also experience of the interaction? How do we improve that with technology? And the third one is reimagining customer experience. So as an organization, how are you servicing your customers? And how do you make that experience better for them? So those are the three areas that we're focused on, and AI is starting to play a big role in all three of those domains.
No, wonderful. And we're going to about ready to jump into the AI in just a second. One more quick thought. I know that traditionally WebEx is considered both a hardware and software company,
Yes.
SaaS-based, all that fun stuff. How do you all see yourselves partnering or developing along the lines of what like Apple Vision Pro or other devices like that? Is that something that you see yourselves being a part of, or are you developing your own applications or devices in that space, if you're able to share?
Yeah, so we're definitely a hardware and a software company. We have a full portfolio of hardware products, all the way from headsets to webcams to phones that go on desktops to video conferencing devices that sit on desks to conference room video conferencing equipment. So we have a full gamut. In fact, we have a hologram product as well that has a capture rig that can generate 3D holographic images of people. And on the other side, you can have a headset from any of the vendors, and then you can watch that as well. So we're very focused on making hardware and software work better together. Now, when it comes to these headsets with Apple or with Meta or with any of the other vendors out there. Our approach right now is to build applications for those ecosystems, and we're not focused on building a headset ourselves right now. And we are actually finding that the new Apple Vision Pro provides an amazing platform for some really creative options, and we are happy to continue to do that type of development in partnership with those headset vendors.
Amazing. So how is the hologram going, out of curiosity? Last time I heard about it was a few years ago, I believe. Has that been rolled out and people are utilizing that?
It is available as a product that you can buy from us. There are clearly certain industries or verticals where applications are very obvious for that technology, and that's where we see customers adopting it. When it comes to designing 3D things, that's where, whether that is auto manufacturing or some other type of manufacturing, that is where we see a lot of usage. Other applications like healthcare is another great area. But this is a specialized application. This is a specialized device. So this is not a device that you and I would use all the time to meet with each other. This is a device where we might start in an interaction like this. And then, if I wanted to share a 3D object with you and we wanted to collaborate on that, you can imagine us putting our headsets for a brief period of time, go through that, and then come back to this more natural modality that we're all used to. So that's the type of application that we see our customers using with those products.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Okay, as we shift to sort of the AI world, as we start to think about that a little bit more, how is Webex starting to utilize or value Gen AI or just AI in general at the moment?
Right. Yeah. So we've been doing AI for a while in our products. Now, of course, generative AI is kind of the new wave of the technology, and we're playing there as well. But going back several years, you and I are both using virtual backgrounds or blurring our backgrounds. That's an AI application. We filter out noises from our audio interaction. That's an application of AI. So we've been doing that for a while. What we are starting to do now is to apply some of the language-based AI. Tools like ChatGPT made it very, very clear to people that there's a lot of potential in large language models. So we're using that technology to add assistance into Webex, where the assistant can capture the transcript of a conversation like this. It can summarize it. It can extract insights out of that. And that is a huge time saver. So I run a global team that is spread across all time zones. And, there's just no way for me to attend all meetings with my teams. And I rely on my assistant, AI assistant, quite a lot to give me summaries of those meetings that I miss. And it saves me a lot of time. And so that's just one of the ways to boost productivity. We're seeing a lot of usage in the conference room space as well with our hardware. You're talking about hardware earlier, where we can really apply AI to detect where people are sitting in a conference room, zoom into those. As you stand up and walk around in a conference room, we can track you with AI and really deliver an amazing experience for the remote people who may or may not be in the room. In the customer experience domain, there's huge potential for AI to provide better self-service to customers, to automate a lot of the workflows, and also make the agents more productive by just surfacing relevant information in real time that helps them resolve customer problems. So there's a whole gamut of applications here that we're bringing to Webex.
I think you're right. And there's clearly amazing benefits, no question whatsoever. How can companies start to consider the important risks and issues in creating this space, and how they can how companies can sort of teach and get their employees to embrace generative AI in ethics?
Yeah. So one thing I'll say is that the best way you learn is by doing. So don't stand on the sidelines and jump in and embrace the technology and sort of start experimenting with it. For every organization, it is very important to use the technology and become aware of what's available. Because if you don't do that, there's a very high risk that you're going to get disrupted by someone who's going to apply AI in a creative way. So it's very important to just kind of roll up your sleeves and jump in. But you're absolutely right that there are some very important questions around data privacy and security and risks that the technology brings up. And this is, again, where getting informed and maybe forming some policies around responsible use of AI is very, very critical. And one of the things that companies need to think about is what data is core IP for them, and how do they protect that data, and how do they train their employees on the right use of technology for the right type of data. And here at Cisco, what we have done is we have created a very well-structured responsible AI program. And that program guides not just the product development that we do. So when I'm incorporating AI in Webex, I go through a responsible AI assessment for that, but it also guides the policies that our CIO and our IT department are putting in place for Cisco employees to be able to use these tools. And every new tool that we adopt goes through an assessment of the risks and the right way of using that tool. And that goes hand in hand with a lot of learning and development for employees. Education is a key part of it. Making everyone aware of where the risks are and how best to navigate that is a core part of how you roll this out.
So it's across the vertical, right? So I'm assuming you have classes that people take, potentially there's tests within that. Um, is there an open forum such that people who may be nervous about this affecting their job or components of their job can sort of interact with the company to help them better allay some of those concerns?
Yeah, I think it's very important to have an ongoing dialogue and provide that type of a forum. I think within organizations, it's very important to have a forum where employees can ask questions around the technology and how to navigate that. And I think this is where this is not just a technology problem. This is a culture problem. This is this is a role where HR can be quite helpful in partnership with technology leaders. And you really have to develop a learning mindset for the organization that provides a safe space for people to learn. And what we've done at Cisco is we have several forums. We do a lot of training and tech talks, but we have Webex chat spaces where people can ask questions. From time to time, we host meetings to really discuss these type of issues. And there is a very well publicized forum where the responsible AI program is governed. So if you have any questions, you can reach out proactively at any time about the use of technology. Now, I think one of the things that we have to realize is that like every other technology transition, every other wave of innovation, there are certain things that AI will just automate out of the workflows. And I think we need to look at that in a more positive way as really improving the productivity of everyone and helping them think at a higher level, opening up some cycles for them to think about problems more creatively and really apply what humans are really best at doing. And so use this as a tool that is helping you get better. And if you take that mindset to start with, I think that's going to help you start to adopt the technology in a wider space.
Amazing. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So something sort of jumped in my head, and I'd love to hear. I know this is sort of a random question, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And if it's not something you wanted to discuss, it's no problem whatsoever. Has WebEx started going down the road of where an organization, large organization, has decided to, of course, use the services, both the hardware and the software, and their customers come to their website and they have questions where they would normally maybe call or it's a chat or whatever the case is, maybe engage that hologram, then use some of the AI in the background to cull through all the information about that particular company. Maybe even have an API that accesses their information, in particular once the person's been able to identify and prove themselves, so that the individual's actually having much more of a dynamic conversation with that Cisco hologram, but leveraging all of that company's information during that interaction. Is that something that's either started and I've missed it, or two, something you're thinking about doing?
Yeah, so I don't want to comment on future product roadmaps and what we might do in the future, but I will say that the building blocks that we have today are very, very capable. So for example, we have the ability to create chatbots now that can look at enterprise knowledge bases and can answer any question that you might have about that problem domain or about that enterprise. And so that's one key building block for that. Now you can layer on a voice interface on top of that. So you can talk to that chatbot, right? And do that in a much more of a natural fashion. And these are technologies that are already part of the contact center offer that we have as part of the Webex portfolio. This is something we sell to our customers today. Now, video is still a minority channel when you think about how people interact with contact centers, but we have that as part of the offer as well. So it's really around how do people feel comfortable reaching out to organizations and what interaction channels they're using. Traditionally, it used to be voice predominantly on how people used to interact. We are seeing a lot more digital engagement now through digital channels and all sorts of social media channels. And that those are more text-oriented channels today. And that's sort of where the consumer base is. So in some ways, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. You want to make sure that you build technology that will find some adoption and usage, and the customer base has to be ready for adopting that. So that's sort of the mindset we have. We do AI for solving real problems. We don't do AI just for the sake of AI. That's kind of the mantra we build our products from. So I'll just leave it at that. I mean, the potential is obviously there for stitching all these building blocks together in very interesting ways.
Yeah, it's funny because I see myself as primarily voice or text based, but then I look 10 or 15 years younger than I, and I see everyone just on their phones, videos
Yeah,
all the time. So
yeah,
that's why it just seems like it's a
right.
natural. People more comfortable with that, and
Yeah,
that seems to be certainly the path forward.
yeah.
All right, one other question for you, and then if there's anything else you'd like to add, I'd love to hear about it. What is your general outlook with a tremendous pace of change for the next several years?
Right.
Is there anything that you see as foundationally changing or something that we'll start to see more of in
Yeah.
the next little while around all this?
Yeah, I think one thing is clear that AI is going to disrupt a lot of industries, and things that were done in a certain way will be completely reimagined. And I think as a society, we have to be ready that certain type of functions can be completely automated with AI. And how are we going to deal with that as a society? I think is a big question mark right now. I think this is where there has to be a role for the governments to play. This is where regulation has a role to play. This is where a public-private partnership has to start to take shape. But how do we address these type of societal issues? So I think that's one big thing that we have to deal with collectively. And I think, like I said, industry alone won't be able to solve it. I think it has to be a partnership. The other thing that I'll say is that there are very big risks right now on the security side because of what AI is capable of doing. And in the hands of some rogue actors, it can actually fundamentally disrupt all of the tools that we've had traditionally to detect and prevent attacks. So we're going to have to do a lot more on the good guy side with AI so that we can actually combat that very effectively. And the good news is we have that technology available to us. So it's not just it's not a disadvantage. It's in some ways it's an advantage because we have a lot of data that we can play with. So those two things are sort of top of mind for me, and I think everyone who's in the space needs to pay attention to those two things.
That was extraordinarily refreshing. I speak with people all over the place, all over the world, travel too much, and it's rare that someone brings that up, part of a larger corporate organization. And I think it's a desperate need that everyone needs to understand the implications of some of these things if you go too far out. I don't want to be the negative Nancy, but sometimes I'm the one that ushers those ideas into the conversation, and most are somewhat hesitant to go down that road. But it is very, very important that we discuss those things. Anurag,
Absolutely.
this has been tremendous. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.